Hello and welcome to Trending in the Afternoon. Well, today we're going to talk about tax, which is never a nice subject to talk about, but it's something that is inevitably only on the rise. Now in the UK, since the Labour government that said they were definitely not going to raise taxes on working people, since they've come in, they've done nothing but, raise tax. You can sense the surprise in my voice. Well, again, they're coming back, and they're not just coming back for the people that are the highest earners in society, who they say they're going to target. They're coming back for everyone. If you want to save some money in the bank from your salary, well, they're coming after you. If you're elderly and have worked your whole life, paid into the system, and are lucky enough to be getting a pension, well, they're coming after you. If you own shares in a company and get paid dividends on profits from that company, well, they're coming after you. Seems they're just about coming after everybody. It's almost like they're trying to push everyone into a state of poverty so that we're all dependent on the state. Sounding like a conspiracy theorist. Well, this has become more public today after a memo, an intergovernmental memo between the Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, you know, that northerner who's one of the people, understands, working class, between her and the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves. Now, this memo is where Angela Rayner, again, as I say, that working class lass that's just one of us, she's actually calling on the Chancellor to raise taxes even more, and has criticised the Chancellor's decision to lower the welfare budget and cut public spending rather than just raise tax to pay for the spending instead of cutting it. Well, Rachel Reeves has already shown where her loyalties lie in terms of the ability for coming to take people's money, take people's hard-earned money away in the form of additional new taxes. Yet, apparently, the Deputy Prime Minister wants to go even further. So this is the story. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner's department has called for the Chancellor to increase taxes prior to this year's spring statement. This memo appeared to urge Reeves to take £3 to £4 billion a year in additional tax deposits through various different measures. One being completely scrapping the dividend allowance for people to earn money and profits from companies. And I think I'm going to point out here is what they do is they know that most people won't do the research. So when you see profits, dividends taken from profits, shares, people assume that means millionaires. They assume that means people earning large sums of money, and therefore they're not going to see the difference. Well, actually, most people that run businesses, that run small companies, that take dividends to top up their earnings, they're not millionaires. They're people that are struggling to make ends meet. And just in the last few years, the dividend allowance has gone from £26,000 a year down to just £2,000 a year. So that's a pretty big and substantial drop. So the idea that scrapping that allowance altogether is the fairest thing to do is a complete sham. It's a complete sham. And that's where education is incredibly important. They know that most people won't do the research to look and go, actually, dividends don't mean millionaires. It means a lot of people. It means your tradies. It means your people that are maybe operating businesses that employ one or two people. Your independent cafes, independent restaurants and shops. It doesn't mean millionaires. And that is very important when it comes to this particular story, because they will use language and use things and narratives to make it sound like they're attacking people that are incredibly wealthy and should be paying their fair share. They're not. They're targeting everyone. So Rayner has also pushed for new taxes on pensions, coming back again for inheritance tax, even though they have just changed that in the last budget at the back end of last year, which is inheritance tax in general is a completely disgraceful tax. It's tax on money that's already been taxed. And as me and Gareth spoke about on Monday, it's a way of them getting rid of intergenerational wealth. It's everybody starting afresh. It's getting rid of people having the ability to have maybe financial security when they're young. Because if someone said to you now at 18 years old, you've got financial security, you've got the ability to do what you want with your life. You can go and decide, you can follow a passion, you can follow a dream, you can go walk in India, you can do whatever you want, rather than, I've got to go and get a job because I've got to survive. How many people would live their life very, very differently? And they don't want that. That's the last thing they want. Because as we've spoken about before, financial security gives you the ability to push back in many ways. It gives you the ability to quit jobs you don't like. It gives you the ability to stick two fingers up to things that you don't like. It gives you the ability, in some people's Okay, so to say things that you believe to be right and not fear the consequences for your employment. They don't want that. Last thing they want. That's why inheritance tax is so important to them. They also want to attack people that own shares, as I mentioned. Now, it's quite a vague story in terms of specifics of what she is claiming the government should do and what they want to target. She's just said those key areas that they want to target. She's not really gone into too much detail about how they would target them. But what's key to talk about is that taxes should be something that is paid to get something back, and taxes are not something that we should fear if it's done right. Now, really, what a tax should be is a contribution towards society so that the things that we need as a country, as a town, as a city, as a village, whatever type you want to put it, they function. So, for example, like a good one people use when they talk about council tax is, collecting the bins, things like that. Taxes and ways of contributing towards society so that various different things can happen, welfare systems, defence, agricultural projects, national projects, infrastructure, roads, trains, planes, all those sorts of things. That's something that you can look at and go, okay, if all those things are working, all those things are efficient, we're getting what we want and we're contributing towards it, I don't think many people would argue too much with paying some form of tax. I think tax as a word obviously has a stigma attached to it, and obviously so. Let's say a contribution. Let's say you're paying your keep, room and board, if you like. If you live at home and you pay your parents pay for all your meals, do all your washing, and you pay like a keep to live there, you're getting something back for your investment. So it's a means to an end. It's a two-way street. Whereas with taxes, you pay more and more, and increasing every single time we have some kind of budget or statement. Those taxes only go up. They never seem to go down. And you're getting less and less for it. And what's also key is you're having no involvement or say in what that money is going on. So it often is going to causes you actually despise. How many people, if they were given a vote, would accept that they're working 60, 70 hours a week to pay tax for that money to then go to Ukraine, to then go to migrants being housed in 5-star hotels while people are using food banks that are working full-time jobs? If referendums were done on those sorts of things, no one would vote in favour of that, or a very, very small minority would. So that's why there's such a anger when it comes to tax. And I completely agree. I completely understand. For me, it's just parasitical behaviour. It's them feeding off of the labours and efforts and imaginations and productivity of the population to line their own pockets, the pockets of their friends, and do things that they are interested in investing in and doing, not the things that the people that fund them want them to do. That's where that dynamic has to change. As we've said plenty of times, people shouldn't fear their governments. Governments should fear their people. The concept that a government with 9 million votes in a country of 72 million can take all this revenue, take all this from the people, and then go and do what they like with it, not what the 72 million want done with it. And they're going to keep coming back and asking for more. Telling you you're paying more. They're not asking. Is completely disgraceful and disgusting, and just shows the contempt that these people have for us. And this memo, which is why I've covered this afternoon, shows even more the contempt that these people have for us. Rachel Reeves, Angela Rayner, Keir Starmer, Yvette Cooper, this front bench, Ed Miliband, David Lammy, these front benchers, they have nothing but contempt. The fact that they know and they talk about the cost of living, about how they understand that so many people are struggling to make ends meet, pay the bills, feed their kids, heat their homes, while actually talking about coming back for more again, while at the same time the country is falling apart, that just shows the contempt that they have for us. They have their foot on our necks and they're not lifting it, they're pressing down harder, and they will only do more and more and more if we allow it. It's time to say no. Look at the pushback there has been against the cutting of the winter fuel payments here in the UK, and there's a story breaking at the moment. I won't go into it specifically because it's only breaking at the moment, where they may well U-turn and reverse that because of the public backlash and public pressure. That shows the power. That shows where the power really is. These people have no power. They only have the power that we have delegated to them. If we say no, it's over. So people will read these stories and be very fearful about the next statement, about what that's going to mean for their ability to function and survive. Well, it only matters if we go along with it. And in enough numbers, if we refuse to go along with it, and I don't think we're far away, because you can't take something someone doesn't have. If someone has a tenner and you've already taken a tenner, you can't take the next pound. They don't have it. So we are reaching the point, I think, where the pushback and the resistance is not just going to be a choice, it's going to be an obligation, because people won't have another choice. Well, thank you for tuning in with us for Trending in the Afternoon. Myself and Richard will be back with you at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. I'll see you then.
We have not called for the killing of white people, at least for now.